Good morning, my beautiful people. It's a day, a Champion League, a day that we need to see the second leg. And of course, also with championship involved. And we say that this is a world of champions. And of course, those who may make it today. And of course, I would automatically progress. But of course, let's dive in and check on what transpire and the teams that are going to participate today, and we are starting with Atletico Madrid versus Club Brugge. Now, this is the Spain team versus the Belgium team, and we all remember that the first leg was a very dramatic, actually, game. That match ended 3-3. Yes, what a dramatic move. Of course, we saw that the teams coming from behind to score three goals in this very match. So now if you look at Diego Simon, and of course with Leco, the head-to-head, of course, meeting, you find that Leco did not win any match, of course, in this very, and Diego Simon, of course, himself won one, and there were two draws between these two. So the Simon versus Leco again today. Yeah, and of course the first leg last week, that match ended 3-3. But if you're to look at Atletico Madrid of in the last 5 games, of course, they won 2, lost 2, and draw 1. And of course, Club Brugge doing quite well. They won 3 and draw 1, lost 1. But these two teams, they've ever met. And of course, in the last 5 matches for these two teams, Atletico won 1 and they drew 3, and Club Brugge also managed to pick 1. Now, if you're to look at these two teams, goals are always available. They have, like last, of course, leg, there was the match ended 3-3. So you see that many goals, couples of goals were scored in this very match. And we are actually expecting to see goals in this very game, because the winner itself, you take it all. And of course, the advantage come to the Atletico, who was away from home, because they managed to score 3 goals away from home. But should they do again today and manage to pick up a point, of course, a win, they will automatically qualified, of course, to the next round for UEFA Champions League. And we can tell, but we only expect many goals in this game. So for this aspect, we're expecting to see more goals than 1 and 2 or 3. We expect to see 1 goal, of course, in this very game. Then, of course, the second one is Newcastle United versus Qarabag. This one was one of the dramatic game last week. I said Champions League is full of dramas and many goals are scored. You see teams are trying to push, like, for example, Newcastle, even if they manage they beat them 1-0, they automatically qualify in this game, because away they traveled to Abidjan and actually bet this one, they collect 3 points. They bet them 6-1, which is really was a dramatic one. And we saw that Gordon, the striker, the Newcastle striker, was in form. The guy is scoring goals like nothing. Now, all along they traveled to Abidjan, but there was a drama for them when actually City welcomed them at Etihad. They were again beaten. Yes, so they were beaten, and of course, this did not end well for them. And automatically, you see that they are struggling already. They are on a 6th position. They're in the 11th position, rather. And of course, seeing that they're struggling themselves. But Qarabag, if you to look at Qarabag itself, right now they're in the 2nd position. But all in all, doesn't look that very, very good, the performance when it comes to the Champions League. But I said there's a way the England team themselves behave. They always, when it comes to these matches, they perform very well. We all witness all the England team over the week, of course, how they perform in that previous Champions League. Most of them went through, and even in Europa, they struggle and got something like score goals. Compare, we saw Nottingham Forest, Amorim, of course, 3-0. So it was a dramatic, actually, move that proved that is a tough one. Now, Newcastle in the last 5 games, they won 3, lost 2, and of course we said sit on the 11th position. And Qarabag won 3, lost 2, but quite good. So in this very game, of course, we expect goals, because if you look at last time, also they defeated 6-1. So in this second round, we also expect at least one goal to be scored in this game, or more of that. We see goals would be scored. Then, of course, the third is Inter Milan versus Bodo. This is a dramatic one. We say that we saw a Serie A, Inter being beaten, yes, by Bodo, 3-1. Imagine the Inter Milan travel all alone, but they came without a point there, of course. Now, Bodo, right now they sit on the second positions, and Inter Milan was unbeaten actually in the last 5 games. They were having a good run, but of course, Bodo had to humble them and, of course, caught them there, and they were defeated. Now, if you to look at head-to-head, of course, these two teams met. They actually, Inter Milan did not win any match. It's Bodo that has registered one win. So in this game still, we are going to see that we are seeing Inter Milan proving to be very strong in this very game. They look a team that would actually struggle not to lose anything from this very match. But also Bodo would actually look like they don't want to lose also anything. They don't want to give chance to Inter Milan actually to win them. So in this very game is going to be a tricky one, but still, all in all, we see that all of them may struggle to find the back of the net for the other team. So we are seeing that Bodo will not just keep quiet. They will struggle to find the back of the net, and also Inter Milan in this very game. Then also, the next one package of the day, we also got Bayern Leverkusen, which has proven to be very, very, very tough team. Now, Bayern Leverkusen has its own way. Over the weekend, was defeated by Union Berlin 1-0. We expected Bayern Leverkusen rather, to be doing perfectly well, but right now they sit on the 6th position. And of course, Olympiacos comfortably in the first position in that very league. But if you have to look at the performance when it comes to Champions League, and these two teams have ever met, Olympiacos, if you have to follow the history of Bayern Munich, Bayern Leverkusen and Olympiacos, you find that the win is always 2-0. 2-0. Olympiacos won 2-0. Bayern Leverkusen 2-0. Then it was only earlier that whereby Olympiacos bet Bayern Leverkusen 6-2. That one was a dramatic one. 8 goals were scored in that very match. Then also there's a time that these two teammates, still Bayern Leverkusen was away, managed to score Olympiacos 2-1. So in this very game, we see that in the last 5 meetings, Bayern Leverkusen also won 2. Of course, Olympiacos won 2, and there was also points shared between these teams. But all in all, we look at seeing that still goals are going to be scored, because what we're expecting, seeing that at least one goal we expect to appear maybe in this very match, because Olympiacos games, if you're to follow history and the match has never ended 0-0 head-to-head meeting. Goals are always scored there. So we're basing on this that probably we see that we expect at least also goals to be scored here. Then the second, of course, in our second package, still we have Cambuur versus PSV Eindhoven, and this is take us back to Netherlands. I always say Netherlands, they're always drama, but if you're to look at Cambuur itself, Cambuur is one of the team that actually perform very well. And if you're to look at Cambuur, won 17 direct matches, of course, and Eindhoven won 13 matches, and there were 10 matches that ended in a draw between these two teams. So Cambuur itself proved to be a very, very competitive, like a very strong team. And over the weekend, we proved against our Winded joke, whereby the game ended 1-1, and also they lost against AD Hague. That is where they pick up a loss, but Cambuur is quite performing and they attack the game. So these two teams are meeting for the second, of course, for several times. But you look at that Cambuur always take a lead in these very matches. They're always winning. They sit on the second. They won in the last 5 games. They won 3, drew 1, and lost 1. And Eindhoven, of course, won 2, lost 2, and drew 1. And they are sitting comfortably on the 12th position. So this actually would expose that Cambuur is we're weighing that got an upper chance of at least coming up with at least 2 goals we are seeing in this game. Because if you're to follow them, how they score goals, most of the goals are scored between these two teams. You find that there's a time the match ended 4-2, 3-3, 2-2. Then also you find 0-3. And Cambuur always in these matches try to find the back of the net. That's why we are seeing that probably Cambuur will make sure that they had to at least goals in this very match for them for today. Then of course we got the last game of the day here. It is going to be one of the games that I will just leave for you to actually drop, but of course I will review out and tell you all the actually that you give your opinion. But still in this very one, I heard one that is Middlesbrough versus Leicester City. And of course, if you're to look at Middlesbrough, last week, they over the weekend, they didn't perform quite well. They pick up their draw. And in the last 5 games, they won 3, lost 1, draw 1. Leicester City lost 4, draw 1. Quite not good. And of course, right now they sit on a very far position compared to Middlesbrough. Now, Middlesbrough itself sit on the second position in that England Championship League. And also, if you to look at Middlesbrough, is unbeaten actually in the last 5 leagues games against Leicester City, whereby they won 2 and they drew 2. So this still give us a back that Middlesbrough got an upper hand because of either they take it or they hold it there. Because all in all, Middlesbrough is doing quite well. They don't want to see other team on top of them because they were fighting for the same position with Coventry, and of course this sees that that other team takes up the position. So the Middlesbrough will not find that they cannot lose it so easily. And of course, the records, the head-to-heads make us trust that Middlesbrough, if they don't take, of course, they don't find, they would actually share the points, which is likely what may happen in this match. But all in all, we say that winners never quit. And we see games coming up many a few days after that is on weekend, whereby I dropped at the game. I actually told people to give their text who to win between Atlanta and of course Napoli. And of course some people really got them right, and I'm really very impressed and very happy to see that we try, and of course we see the conversations we are moving well, and of course was some around 2 to 3 I think in boxing, but one actually did not get back to me because at least they had evidence and had commented on that very post. And I always say that let's judge it how, let's weigh it out, we test our brain and see what could be the likely outcome. And if you're to look at the one that I'll give today, still going to look the same, that you must come up and tell me. I did not say that you give me a general one that maybe it will draw like that kind. No. Tell me what exactly you expect from this very match. And the match of the day is going to be Luton versus Plymouth. Yes, so drop your predictions on this. Tell me what you think who would win between Luton and Plymouth to put the correct of the match, how the match would end. That is it. The last summary of the day for this match, of course, Atletico Madrid versus Club Brugge. We expect more than one goal in that game. And Newcastle versus Qarabag, we still expect more than one goal. And Inter Milan versus Bodo, we're expecting both side to register on the score sheet. Of course, in the second, our package is Bayern Leverkusen versus Olympiacos. We also expect, of course, more than one goal in that match. And Cambuur versus Eindhoven, that is in Netherlands. We're also expecting more than one goal. And of course, the last game of the day is Middlesbrough versus Leicester City. We are going to try to see that the home team takes all the 3 points or they share that game. That is, of course, home to take or they share the points. So I wish you guys the best.